That was absolutely beautiful. We are one. I got these readers on so I can actually see what I wrote to talk to you guys about, but I can't look up at you at the same times. Oh my God, I have a friend that says getting older is for the birds. It's for the birds. My talk today is let's grow together. Let's grow together. Let's say that. Let's grow together. There is, anybody ever heard of a thing called the tipping point? Yeah, that 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 you can uh, get something gathered in one area so much that like it tips over into a new expression. And I want to invite you into this idea. I'm going to do this. Okay, so just go with me. I want to invite you into this idea that we are together reaching for the tipping point. And so, has anybody dove into the book yet? No, one, two people. Okay, it's pretty heady, right? Like he starts going into Darwin and Tilliard de Chardin, and I'm like, holy cow, am I back in college? It's pretty deep. So if you go with me, I like the Reader's Digest version of spirituality because I have found that a confused mind does nothing. And so if you could just indulge me, I'm gonna take something that feels like this big complex, like he was going, right? But I'm gonna bring it back down to earth so that we can do something about it, right? Because what I actually really want is I want me and you to go out and live this divine nature that we are. I want to put it on its feet. I don't want it to be so far up here. What is it? You're so spiritually illuminated that you're no earthly good. I want to be good on earth. Anybody live on earth? Okay. Okay, so this message is for earthlings. The rest of you, I'm sure there's something for you to get out of it. But for those of us that are on earth, that are dealing with earthly things, like our exit on a freeway that's closed unexpectedly. So those who know the last experience that involved a cop, and it was like, am I just happening to myself? What is this? So we're gonna grow together. Would that be okay? Yeah. Because life is happening. Life is happening and it's challenging. But even in the challenge, we have to wake up. Even in the challenge, we have to wake up. And so my thesis for you is to awaken is to evolve. Let's say that. To awaken is to evolve. This is so powerful. And I have two scriptures that I chose today that I really just loved and I thought really kind of encapsulated this lesson. And the first one is from the 139th Psalm, verse 14. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works that I know very well. There is this sentiment that I am so amazing. And whatever it is that created me, of course, there are cultures that anthropomorphize God and, male deity and great Santa Claus of the sky. But we have come up out of that, right? But even in that, there is still this creative force that is so powerful and so amazing when you get that we are self-healing. We are self-healing. If you get the moment you get a cut anywhere on your body, it begins to heal in the moment that you get it. And the only thing that keeps it open is if you pick at it. Isn't that right? Now what we did with kids, like I tell Jordan, don't pick at it. If you just don't touch it, it'll disappear. Now, I want you to get that that's a principle that repeats everywhere. So all of the open wounds, take your hands out of the wound. And so when you realize that about yourself, you become in awe of how special you are. You really just develop this appreciation that I am incredible. Let's say that together. I am incredible. Let's say it like you mean it. I am incredible. One more time for the subconscious mind. I am incredible. we walk around and we remember our limitations. We wake up and we recall all the things that we cannot do. And it turns out that you cannot contemplate standing, you cannot stand while contemplating falling down. Like that's just not how it works. And so we really have to take our attention off of the limitations. Do you know that the only way to be aware of what you are, I'm not going to say this right. This was from, Renaissance Unity. They do such a great job with their daily prayers, and I don't know if I'm going to find it fast enough. But they had a prayer. I guess I can go to the most recent one. They had a prayer that was a couple of days ago on this daily email. And if you guys know Renaissance Unity, that's the one that Jack Boland, I don't know, it was called Today's Church or something like that. And then it's rebranded under Renaissance Unity. But they are our spiritual family that continues the Mastermind Journal. And there was a one from yesterday that said, maybe it was 2 days ago, that said that essentially that when I focus on what I don't or what I want, that is the moment that I become aware of what I am missing. Putting myself in a state of want is to decide that I'm going to concentrate on what I don't have. And so if I begin to think about what I do have, the beauty in my life, the joy in my life, the positivity in my life, literally my mind is now present to all that is available to me. That there is nothing withheld from me. This is not a magical spirituality. This is actually something you can do in your everyday life. That you can stay in a state of gratitude, that you can be in a circumstance that is the most trying circumstance that you may have imagined yourself being in. But even in that circumstance, you can find something to be grateful for. Even if I am completely immobile in my body, I can move my eyes. Like it's when you get down to the little nitty bitty gritty things to be thankful for. And what happens is that gratitude is a force. It is a force that will literally shatter the atmosphere of where you are and begin to lift you out of what seems to be an impossible circumstance. And so Ephesians, this is what Paul writing to the Ephesians. Well, let me say it. We don't know that it's Paul. Because they got this thing now. So, writers have a voice, right? And if you read a writer, there's a way that a writer sounds. And so part of the challenge with reading our Bible in English is that, one, the language is flat, so we don't have all of the nuance that you would find in the Koine Greek that it was written in. But the second thing is that it's not even written in the voice of Paul. Paul uses short sentences. When you open Ephesians, if you just read chapter 1, the first 15 verses is one sentence. That ain't Paul. Paul writes in short sentences. But again, and writers don't betray themselves. I would bet that all the songs that you write sound alike in some way. They may be different, right? And so there is this voice that comes through you that can be identified as your voice, right? You would never imagine Michael Jackson writing what Prince would write. It just wouldn't happen that way, right? It's a different voice. And so let's not put our brains in the trunk when we go to the Bible. So this letter, somebody said Paul wrote it, but it's still a good verse. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. Therefore, he says, awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. Christ is the indwelling I am presence. It is you aware of the real you. It is the you. So we're in this room, but we each have the ability to observe ourselves being in this room. We have the ability to move into the seat of the observer. to not just be in the experience, but to be the observer of the experience. Are you following me? Right? That is the Christ presence in you. It is the observer of your experience. And so, if you can learn to shift and to get into the observer of your experience, you will begin to see what you cannot now see. The only reason that you cannot now see it is that you're too close up on it. It's kind of like if you were standing at the door of the Empire State Building, you would miss the totality of the building because you're too close up on it. It's only when you step back far enough and look up that you're able to even take in a portion of it. But really, you'd have to get back pretty far to capture the fullness of it. This is the difference between sitting in your experience and being the observer of your experience. Are you following me? I'm going to put this whole thing together. Spiritual growth doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. So, your soul is calling for greater expression. It is why you are here this morning. It is why you prioritized your day so that you could be a part of this gathering. Our being here today is no accident. Can we agree on that? Yes. Okay, good. Your soul is ready for more. Your soul is ready for more. Okay, I wasn't going to go there yet, but I'll go there now. So he has this great way that he talks about it in the book. He calls it the chain of being. The chain of being. And what oh my God. Thank you, Spirit. It's a lot of ideas floating right now. So you know how something can go from steam to water to ice? Right, as it becomes more congealed, but it can also go from water, from ice to water to steam, right? Okay, so we have that same flow. We go from spirit to soul to mind to body to matter. And then we go from matter to body to mind, to soul, and then spirit. Hope I did that in the right order. Okay. Right. Me too. and so when I say that your soul is ready for more, what I'm saying is that there is something looking to be birthed through you into expression. Yes. All right. Wake up. All right. Growing up physically, we each have experienced some type of caregiving, right? We're not talking about good or bad. We had parents, or we had people who said they were parents, but they were responsible for, listen, we're coming up on Father's Day, and I decided to do something different on Father's Day to actually do a blessing for fathers. Because there's so much healing that has to happen around the father love principle. Maybe that's just in my life. And so we're going to do a blessing for fathers to begin to love the father principle so we can get a different result. Growing up physically, we each experienced some type of caregiving. We had parents, or we had people who said they were parents, but they helped us. How do I tie my shoes, right? How do I brush my teeth? How do I comb my hair, right? How do I prepare my meals, right? How do I get the food to prepare my meals? These are the things that they were helping us. And then beyond the basics, some of us even got some additional skills. Some of us learned, how do I manage money? Some of us learned, how do I manage myself in a relationship? How do I advance professionally? Each one of us came out of the units through which we were raised with different skills in addition to the basics. But this instruction that we received at some point ended. Right? And then we have left the homes that we were raised in, and we've advanced beyond that initial training ground. But now the continuance of what we were given rests with us. And so there's no mom to tell you to brush your teeth anymore. If you show up here, There's no dad to tell you to dust yourself off and get back in the game, right? You got to do this for yourself. And so it must be spiritually. Growing up spiritually means taking responsibility for what we believe and practice. Growing up spiritually means examining the things that we were handed by the adults in our lives and thinking about those things critically. Does this work for me? Is it serving me? Is it helping me express the highest and the best version of myself? So going back to this analogy that he uses, or I don't know what to call it, but anyway, the great chain of being, there is this perpetual flow. And so I'm going to just read what it says. There is this perpetual flow from matter to body to mind to soul to spirit. And then in the reverse, from spirit to mind from spirit to soul to mind to body to matter. But essentially what he's saying is that evolution is moving from matter, from the physical, out to spirit. And then involution is moving from spirit down to matter. And so everything is spirit in expression. That which is diffuse and everywhere and evenly present chooses to locate itself in a physical form. And so the created is infused with the creator. We understand this. Trust me, you do. Has anybody gone to a museum ever in life? Okay. And have you looked at the work of a particular artist? Right? And then the work of that artist, even though he or she may have similar pieces of work or multiple pieces of work, there's some similarity, right, that comes through in each piece because the created is infused with the creator. This is a principle. If you struggle with the idea that you are divine, if it's still this ethereal, heady thing, you can rest in the awareness that the created always reflects the creator. Now, some paintings are a little bit more grand, like as the artist progresses over time, and some are a little less, but you still find that through line. And so what you find is that the created is not separate from the creator. That the creation, are you following all this? Yeah. That the creation is simply a disguise for the creator. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 2 says, "Do not forget to entertain strangers, for by so doing some have unwittingly entertained angels." Now, let's not limit strangers to people, because perhaps a stranger is a bankruptcy. Perhaps the stranger is dementia. Perhaps the stranger is the flat tire. It is the angel that showed up, that came into your life in this moment to say, wake up. Wake up. The angel in your house right now is the very circumstance you wish were not there. I don't know about you, but I have wanted to kill some angels. It may be a health challenge. It may be a relationship challenge. It may be a family challenge. It may be a financial challenge. Creation is simply a disguise for the creator. My friend said it this way: it is God on either side of the table. And so I want to give you 3 questions to ask so that you can entertain the angel and get what the angel came to give you. The first question is, what did you come to teach me? The second question is, what part of me is ready to evolve? The third question is, who am I called to serve? So, question number one, what did you come to teach me? You got to breathe on some of these. As I was driving past that exit, I was like, what did you come to teach me? Oh, but there are other things like that in our lives where we've had betrayals and setbacks and reversals of fortune and unexpected happenings. What did you come to teach me? Many times, the things that are tough in our experience, we never get curious about them. And so we have to learn to move from frustration to curiosity. What are you here for? And not assume that I know the answer, right? Because sometimes we get into an argument with that significant other. It's like, what are you here for? Right? But we've already decided what they're not here for, right? But it's a genuine question to ask. What are you here to teach me? Why did you show up today? What blessing are you here to bring me? What lesson am I here to learn? And the longer that you stay, it just means that I'm not done getting the lesson. And so it would behoove you to get real inquisitive so that I can get you out of my life. I had someone, this confession session, I had someone that was lingering around in my life. And my therapist said, do you have a block button on your phone? I mean, I have an iPhone, and you have an iPhone. I know, and she had Android. Bless you, Android people. But she she had an Android phone, and she said, on the Android they have a block button. Do y'all have that on the iPhone? It was so gentle. I didn't get defensive. I didn't, it wasn't like, well, you need to put that person out of your life. It was just a simple question. Do you have a block button? Because maybe they don't make that on the iPhone. Maybe they don't have a block button. And I said, well, yeah. Do you think you could just block the person? I was like, well, yeah. Freed me from years of going back and forth and being on this yo-yo in terms of a relationship. There is power in walking away. The moment that I learned the lesson, it left my life. We have to get curious. What did you come to teach me? After Reverend Sherri, after we talked, I thought, I was like, I should have told you the gift the storms may bring. Isn't that a good one? Yes, because it's sometimes the storms come into our experience and they challenge us because we don't. We're so in the experience, we don't know how to move and pull up and become the observer. But if we can become the observer, you guys know this song from Faith Rivera. She says, I've had my share of heartache and sorrow, moments of sadness and lonely despair. I've been down on my knees begging life, please take this burden I bear. I embrace this pain that I feel, for I know it's birthing me into a greater way of being. I am ready to receive. This is a wonderful, wonderful song to play as you think about the things that are challenging you. What are you here for? Because I'm ready to receive. I'm ready for more love. I'm ready for more joy. Let's affirm that. I am ready for more love.
I'm ready for more love.
Oh, y'all don't sound like y'all want some love. Anybody ever been in love? Anybody been in real love? Right? It wakes you up. It feels good to you. You smile differently. It's like, well, she must have somebody. Right? All right, so let's say it like you really mean it. I am ready for more love. Yes. Life is good in love. She says, all the gifts the storm, I'm ready to receive all the gifts the storm may bring. There's a deeper sense within of God unfolding. Yes, these clouds are lifting me. Sometimes we feel like the clouds are bringing us down, the things that are the circumstances and our experience, and we just feel the heaviness on our shoulders. But what we want to begin to affirm is that these clouds are lifting me. This thing that looked like it was going to break me is actually the thing that is lifting me up. I am ready for more love. Question number 2: what part of me is ready to evolve? What part of me is ready to evolve? When she gently asked, does the iPhone have a block button? I knew in that moment that it was me ready to evolve from a relationship standpoint. And I had to clear the runway. You know, the plane cannot take off if there are things in the runway. Nobody's flown on a plane here. Okay. They do. If there's something on the runway, they stop the launch. And so everything has to get out of the way so that the launch can happen. It is time for evolution to become conscious. That we are walking around in these solid forms with matter, and it is time to move from matter to body to mind to soul to spirit. There is a greater expression that is looking to come forward now through you. Our survival depends on this. We can no longer look to some outside power outside of ourselves to save us from our own ignorance. Listen, I want Superman too. I really do. If you have ever had toys from the time a child was 2, but there is so much going on in your life that where do you find the time to get rid? No, nobody's dealt with this, I know, but just, I'm not a hoarder, but I've got toys since the time the child was 2, and I really want Superman to come in and clear that clutter. But you know who's going to have to clear that clutter? Uh, what part of me is ready to evolve? That's the question that we're asking. Conscious evolution means that we grow up. Nobody is going to do it for us. We are doing it for ourselves. We are waking up to who we are as divine beings. We are no longer merely children of God. We are now partners and co-creators with the divine. I am creating my life with the divine. I am only willing to make choices that bring back circumstances that I actually want to experience. You are, I love this line. I just wrote it with an exclamation. He didn't have an exclamation point in the book, but I loved it. It said, you are spirit calling itself me. Isn't that good? You are spirit calling itself me. Let's personalize that. I am spirit calling itself me. And so there's nothing happening in your experience that is beyond your ability to do something about it. I have stopped saying you are God in expression because I find that that little extra piece lets you off the hook. You are God. deal with it. Question number 3. Who am I called to serve? This I feel personally about. Maybe because growing up in this skin and these circumstances and this country, but this is a big one for me because I feel like the solution for our world is us together. I believe that at my core, and I know that we have a lot of hurt to heal on both sides of the equation. Who am I called to serve? He writes, man can hope for no evolutionary future except in association with all other men. Only by uniting can we progress. But this process must extend itself from simple reflective thought that is purely intellectual and into a more complex form of thought where there is action being taken. Time does not heal all wounds. What you do with time heals the wound. And if we do not begin to look at ourselves and ask, what is my part? What is my part in supporting it? And then what is mine to do? Either we get it right or we blow up the planet. It's kind of how it works. And I kind of like Earth. I don't know about y'all. I kind of like Earth. And so I want you to begin to deal with your anger. He says, beneath all anger lies an unmet need. That's powerful. Refusal to acknowledge anger may block the recognition and the fulfillment of that need. There is a book, Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, amazing work. He calls it, the title of the book is The Surprising Purpose of Anger. All anger is some unmet need. And so I'm not mad about the toilet seat being up. Deal with your sexuality. What kind of church y'all got? Deal with your sexuality. If we repress our sexuality, we diminish the ability to experience pleasure in all areas of our life. Creativity is related to sexual energy. There's a whole chapter in Think and Grow Rich on, what does he call it? It's sexual transmutation, or I may have it wrong because I haven't read it in a while. Sexuality is related to creativity. That's a different sermon. Deal with your fear of vulnerability. If we repress our vulnerability, then we have closed our heart to life. To be truly alive is to be vulnerable. So it's open up. I'm not going to walk through life worried about being hurt. I recognize that every storm brings gifts. Face your fears and shine a light on your shame. You know what shame is? Should have already mastered everything. Fear and shame are the primary forces that keep you locked where you are. And so let go of thinking that you needed to have it all together. You just don't. None of us do. And if this is the age at which you are learning the lesson that you think in your mind you should have learned at 30, let that go. This is when my soul was ready for the lesson. I could go on. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to remind you that you are God, period. And I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.